First off, thanks for coming and doing this with me. How does it feel to have your name on historic legislation? I just kind of want to get that out of the way.
You know, I couldn't be more proud for this historic achievement. The work that we've done achieves really two large goals. And the first goal, of course, is to make historic investment in infrastructure that's been crumbling for decades, and to ensure that we're growing jobs right here in Arizona and across the country. And the second, I would say equally important achievement, is to demonstrate that we can get things done and work across the aisle, solve problems, and help everyday families in Arizona. And I'm delighted to now turn my attention to the implementation of this law to ensure that it actually delivers results for Arizonans, and to continue demonstrating that when good people put aside their differences, we can work together and solve problems.
Does it bother you to know that none of the Republican delegation from Arizona signed on to this?
Not at all. You know, everyone makes their own decision when deciding whether to support a piece of legislation. I know that folks in Arizona can rest assured that when I vote on a piece of legislation, I'm voting in the best interest of Arizonans to do what's right for my state. And I expect everyone else is doing the same.
$6 billion is a lot of money for Arizona.
It sure is.
Are you the one that's going to watch over how this gets spent here? How does this work?
Well, I don't think Arizonans will be surprised to learn that immediately following the signing ceremony on Monday, which I was delighted to attend and speak at, I immediately found Mitch Landrieu, former mayor, who's been designated as the national coordinator for this effort. I stopped him on the lawn and said, "Look, Mitch, congratulations, today's a big day. I need to meet with you right away, because I want to ensure that these dollars that we worked so hard to designate for Arizona are absolutely used efficiently and effectively and quickly."
Okay. And what did he tell you?
He said yes. I think he didn't really have much of a choice otherwise, did he? But, you know, the work that I've done over the last almost 9 months, crafting this legislation, shepherding it through the Senate, helping my colleagues support it in the House, and then finally celebrating its signature on Monday, that was the easy part. The hard part is implementation and ensuring that we're providing appropriate oversight and that we're making the government do its job effectively and efficiently.
You took a lot of hits personally over the time that this infrastructure bill was being negotiated. And I just wanted to ask you your thoughts about that. Here in Arizona, Democrats, progressives in particular, didn't like your methods. Can you explain and I think part of that was you didn't talk a whole lot.
Yeah.
You just worked. Now that it's done, you can breathe a little. Can you explain how you went about the process of moving this bill forward?
Sure.
And getting it across the line?
You know, when I first was elected to head to Washington, D.C. and represent Arizona about 9 years ago, I promised to be a workhorse, not a show horse. And that's exactly what I've done over these last 9 years. Now, in the 3 years I've served in the United States Senate, I've been known for just putting my head down and doing the work. And my experience is, if you want to negotiate and get to an agreement on difficult topics, the best way to do that is to build trust. And when you're building trust with someone, you work one-on-one, you solve the problem, you stay focused, and you don't get distracted by the noise outside. Now, I know that a lot of folks wanted to hear that noise outside, but they probably didn't have the same goal as me, which is to negotiate and pass a historic infrastructure bill into law. And I guess I would just say the proof is in the pudding. Here we are today, the bill has become law, and we move on to the next topic, which is to implement it for the benefit of everyday Arizonans. So while there are some who may not like this approach, it works. And I think it represents what Arizonans elected me to do, which is to put my head down, get the work done, and deliver results for everyday families.
On the point of getting the bill passed, the hard work happens now. You heard a little bit about it in this little talk that you had, which is supply chain issues, inflation, workforce issues. When you know, coming down the pike is the Build Back Better plan. How does all of that play into your thinking in terms of what you want out of that next chapter?
So that's a great question. So on one track, my team and I are already focused on ensuring that the implementation of the bipartisan infrastructure law happens efficiently, effectively, and most importantly, swiftly in Arizona. At the same time, I'm continuing my negotiations with President Biden, the White House, and my colleagues in the Senate on this next proposed piece of legislation, which could have important impacts in Arizona. And as I'm focusing on that negotiation, I'm keeping a couple things in mind for Arizonans. One, ensuring that any spending that we do is targeted so that it's efficient and effective and that it is respectful of the fact that Arizonans want to keep more of their dollars in their pocket. And given the inflation we're seeing right now, they need to keep more of their dollars in their pocket so they can take care of their families. And second, as folks have heard me say, I want to ensure that any action we take is fiscally responsible so that we're not taking any kind of tax increases that reduce American competitiveness or hurt our businesses' abilities to get ahead. So I'm working on that with one hand and dealing with implementation on the bipartisan bill on the other hand. The good news is I've got a history of being able to do a couple things at once.
So how's that working for you right now with the folks we talked about, the progressives and the Democrats in the state who, there are some who obviously are all in with you, as well as independents and Republicans. I just saw a poll that showed that 70% of Arizonans support your view of looking at everything regarding BBB, how much it costs, before acting on it. Did you think the House may have moved too quickly when it voted for it today?
You know, I'm not really concerned about what the House is doing because luckily my job now is to serve Arizonans in the United States Senate. But what I can say is this. I don't bend to political pressure from any party or any group. I just stay focused on what matters for Arizonans. And in my history of doing this over the last couple decades, I think it's turned out pretty well. And it's returned the results that Arizonans demand and expect from their elected leaders. And I'll keep doing just that.
You and I have known each other for almost as long as you've been in politics.
It's been a couple decades.
Yeah, well, okay. You look a lot better than I do, I'll tell you that. As you look at the progressives here in the state today, especially the young people, that was you one time, and you've evolved. How do you see them today? And I guess, what do you say to those folks who may be conflicted about how you go about your business?
Well, first, I want to say that I appreciate the First Amendment. It's critical to all of us as Americans. And in Arizona, we are heavily supportive of the First Amendment. So I appreciate when folks are willing to tell me they agree with me or disagree with me. If they want to protest, if they want to offer thanks, all of that is welcome. That's how I hear feedback from folks in Arizona, and I'm grateful for that feedback. I'll also say that I'll get up every single day and do what I've always done, which is just put Arizona first, keep my head down, not get distracted by the noise, and just deliver the results. So I guess my message to folks would be, keep telling me what you think. I appreciate it. And I'm going to keep doing the work and delivering results for Arizonans.
Well, the Washington Post, okay, one more. Washington Post kind of stole my word in their interview that is published now about how you are viewed as sort of an enigma in Washington. How, you know, New York Times can write you up in columns, in editorial columns on one page, and then in the next page, the fashion department is writing stories all about you. How do you look at that? And I mean, does it amuse you when you see all of that people they don't really know who you are, and so they kind of conjure up who they think you are?
You know, Mark, like most Arizonans, I don't pay any attention to what they're talking about in the national media. I just stay focused on what matters, which is listening to folks at home in Arizona, working hard and delivering results. I mean, I don't even know what enigma means, really. No one really does. What I do know is this. I'm a straight shooter. Folks know who I am. It's the same person I've always been, and they know that I'm going to go to work every day, work hard, and bring home the results for Arizona families. I'll just keep doing that.
Thanks for taking the time, Senator.
Thanks, absolutely.